Hello, welcome to Lost in Movies. I'm Alec Kerr, and I'm joined by
Sawyer Flavin.
And we're going to review a couple movies. I'm going to review Scream 7 on my own because you didn't get a chance to see it. But then we're going to talk about The Bride, which I'm very excited to talk about. But I have some issues with Scream 7, so check out the trailer for that, and then I'll come back with my thoughts.
This is it.
Can't believe we're staying at the Psycho Killer B&B.
Oh, that's so cool. It's a motion detector.
Hello.
Hello, Sydney. Did you miss me? Nice little town you found. You and your pretty daughter reminds me of where we grew up.
Down to the end.
I want to be a fighter, like you. If you hurt her.
I'm not going to hurt her until you're here to see it.
All your friends died for just being near you.
Where is my daughter?
Tatum, listen to me.
He's trying to find another way in. We're gonna do this together. You're gonna have to shoot him through the wall.
Where?
To the right of the door. Shoot him now! Do it now!
Oh, you got it.
He's dead. You need to make sure you shoot him in the head.
I'm gonna burn it all down.
Mother!
This is gonna be fun.
So, Scream 7. To talk about Scream 7, we have to kind of talk about the drama before the movie came out. And we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, that the lead actress, Melissa Barrera, who was in 5 and 6, was fired because she allegedly said anti-Semitic things because she spoke about Palestine and Israel. And so she got fired, and then it was said it was scheduling conflicts that Jenna Ortega left, but it was really out of solidarity. The director that had been brought on, Christopher Landon, he left because he was getting death threats. And so they brought in Kevin Williamson, who was the original writer of Scream, to direct his first Scream movie ever, which just felt like desperation. And then they brought back Neve Campbell, who wasn't in 6 because they didn't want to pay her what she thought she was worth. Then they paid her what she thought she was worth, so she was back. And it just, all of that made it very hard to go into 7 without a little bit of a bias.
Oh, absolutely.
Because 5 and 6 set up a trilogy, and spoilers for people who haven't been up to date with these films, Melissa Barrera's character was Billy Loomis's daughter, Billy Loomis being the original killer in the first Scream, and she's kind of haunted by hallucinations or ghostly premonitions of him, kind of pushing her to be like him. And so Skeet Ulrich, who played Billy Loomis, said that the third film in this trilogy was going to be her snapping and becoming the next Ghostface, which would have been really, really interesting. Yeah. So now we don't get that movie, and we get this other movie, which is okay. It has some really interesting kills, some really imaginative kills. There's one with McKenna Grace in a flying rig for like a theatrical production.
Okay.
And so she's swinging through the air, and he's just slicing at her while she's in the rigging, which is like pretty terrifying.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And then there's one involving like a beer tap, like at a bar, and just kind of smashing the guy onto it. So that kind of stuff, if you're a horror fan, was great. And again, spoilers, there's a lot of debate in the film of whether or not Stu from the first movie, played by Matthew Lillard, is returning. There was a lot of talk about that in the movie before it came out. And he does come back, but it's a cheat.
Oh, okay.
because they say he's just AI. And so you spend the whole movie with them being like, is he real? Is he AI? And then at the end, they're like, yeah, it's AI. And I'm like, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Everyone wants Stu to be back.
Absolutely.
So that was my issue with it. So Neve Campbell is great. She's back in the movie, and she has a daughter played by Isabella May, and they have a really good relationship. So that's good. And Neve Campbell knows this is like her signature role, so she doesn't half-ass it. Like, she commits to it 100%, which is great. So other than the ending being a tremendous cop-out, it's fun, but it's just frustrating because of what it could have been.
Yeah, I find that a lot of the times when it comes to movies, they give a little too much away in the trailer, and it's never exactly what you want.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot that they don't leave up to the imagination, and they spell it out right for you.
Right. In the trailers, this whole thing of like, oh, I'm going to burn it down, and that happens, spoiler, in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and they make it look like it's like this big plot point in the trailer. It's not. It's nothing. So,
Goodness.
if you're a fan of the franchise, it's worth seeing, but go in with lowered expectations, I'd say.
Okay. Yep, I might be able to see it, but I have reservations due to the production, like we were talking about, with their perceived bias.
Yeah. So, if you're going through the franchise and you're a completist, you need to watch it. But yeah. So that's my little spiel about Scream 7. But we can get into The Bride. It's kind of the main course here.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Check out the trailer for The Bride.
Can anybody help me? Please. I didn't want this. I didn't want any of this! Please. Help. Help. What happened?
You had an accident.
An accident, huh?
We dug you up, then we brought you back to life.
Get on stage, and I call her by her first name.
What do you want with a dead girl?
I'm the same. Born from the dead. I am a monster.
Yeah, so am I.
This world is a black hole.
The corrupt are going to see life is here and it's coming to you from the monsters.
Yes! Yes!
Everybody dance! Everybody sing! Everybody move!
Please don't hurt me, please. I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? Did you do something wrong? Something you thought you might get away with?
Stop right there!
Screaming my name. The dead have got something to say. And I'm saying it.
The Bride of Frankenstein.
No, just the bride. Scared?
So when I saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, I have to see this. This looks so unique and interesting, and it went above my expectations in terms of being unique and interesting. From the beginning, I was like, what is this? Because it opens with the ghost of Mary Shelley possessing this girl. And then when she becomes the bride, she's got this split personality where she's her former self and Mary Shelley, and then also becoming this new person. It's so fascinating.
I think that the movie grips you right from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it does. It draws you in. It's one thing I can say for certain is that the visuals of this movie are stunning.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
They did a great job with that. What they didn't do a great job with is a few many things. I found that the pacing was off. I also had issues with the plot lines. It seemed like there was a lot of plot and not a lot of... Actually, a headline I was reading about this movie was, "The Bride is all exclamation and no explanation." And I really like that.
I kind of had to like accept that this was, to use a popular phrase right now, it's a movie that's where it's just a vibe.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to like analyze and think about it. I'm like, wait a second. So if Mary Shelley really exists in the world of this movie, how can Frankenstein's monster exist? Because isn't that a fictional character? And I had to stop thinking about that because it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But what they were doing with Mary Shelley having possessed this woman and like their conversations with themselves was like really compelling and interesting. So I just kind of had to let go of like rationalizing it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There's a lot of things that you kind of just have to accept and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
You know.
And the last thing I expected, and it made me very happy, was a putting on the Ritz sequence.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of Young Frankenstein. So the fact that happened, I was like, what is this movie? This is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a whole big dance number. And like, then there was the other thing where there's like, how much of it is real? How much of it is just like surreal or hallucinations? Because like, it seemed like the Frankenstein's monster and the bride almost had the ability to possess people, or to like to project themselves onto like movie screens. And like, was that actually happening? Or was it just a figment of imagination?
Yeah. That's where there were a couple points where, in like with the Ritz, I, like you were saying, was trying to rationalize, but I couldn't. And like, there was just so many questions I left with.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, like I said, if you kind of just stop trying to think of it as a film that makes rational, logical sense and just enjoy sort of the atmosphere and the mood and the themes, because this was written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal's sister. And Jake Gyllenhaal is in it as this actor, and so there are a lot of these little fun things where you see him in all these like different movies, and he's like doing musical song and dance things in these movies, which I liked. But she said that she had never seen The Bride of Frankenstein, and when she watched it, she was shocked that The Bride of Frankenstein is only in her own movie for 2 minutes, and she says nothing.
Yeah.
So her thought was, well, what would she say? This person who is resurrected, you know, and reconstituted and told like, oh, well, you're back and you have to marry this person. Like, what would that person have to say? What would that person be like? And I think she does a good job of exploring that and exploring identity and like what it means to be a person, what defines a person, and finding your own identity and choosing your own path.
I mean, there's a lot to be said about bodily autonomy within the message of the movie itself. I think she does do a great job with showing that and proving in her own way, you know, what would happen if that were to come about.
Right.
What are the repercussions for women as a whole?
Yeah.
And I think that was, you know, it was a unique message that we don't see these days.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of women are cast as side characters, or, you know, they are there to benefit other people, or they are 2 minutes in a movie about themselves. You don't see, you know, a lot of movies that, you know, center around females.
Right.
As a
And
whole.
it also just explores the idea for both, and he goes by Frank, played by Christian Bale, and it's Jessie Buckley who's playing the bride. Both of them, this was not their choice to be brought into existence. And so there's a lot of discussion of that, and like, it's nice that even Frank when is confronted with the idea of, oh, well, the bride doesn't want me, he kind of understands it because he too is in the same situation of where I was created, this wasn't my choice. And so he kind of doesn't push it, where I feel like a lesser film would have had him be abusive or trying to force a relationship. And he does do that. He is manipulating her at first, but then he does say, hey, that's wrong.
Yep. Yeah, he comes to realizations in which we all would want for ourselves. And I think Christian Bale did a wonderful job of portraying Frank.
Yeah, Frank. And he did an interesting, because a lot of times the Frankenstein monster isn't portrayed as being articulate and having emotions and having feelings. And the monster in the book, Frankenstein, is incredibly articulate, and he isn't the villain of that story. He is basically the hero. The villain of Frankenstein is Dr. Frankenstein, because he's playing God and he rejects his own monster, and the monster has to deal with that rejection and trying to find his place in the world. And a lot of times Frankenstein stories don't get into that, and that is very much what this is about.
Yeah.
For both the bride and Frank.
Yeah. I haven't seen too many adaptations of Frankenstein myself. I know one just came out with, is it Oscar Isaac?
Yes, I haven't seen that yet myself.
Yeah, I've heard good reviews of it, but I think that it, like most movies these days, spells things out a little too much.
Yeah.
And
this is not this movie at all.
No.
You actually have to do some work.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there was definitely times where I was just like, what plot line are we on? What are we doing? Okay, we're here.
Yeah, because the other thing that I really loved about it is that it's set in the 1930s, so it has this almost like Bonnie and Clyde, like gangster vibe to it, which putting Frankenstein and the bride into that setting was just such a fun and interesting idea.
Absolutely. I mean, like I was saying in the beginning, the visuals themselves were just so, I can see why this could be labeled as a passion project, because she put so much of, most likely of herself into the film.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool to see a movie like this you don't get. There's not a lot of studios that are taking risks these days.
And that's what I wanted to say, that Warner Brothers released this movie is kind of amazing because it's actually pretty radical, because the bride creates this whole revolution where other women are taking control of their own autonomy and not allowing themselves to be abused and standing up for themselves and basically cosplaying as the bride. So to have a film that really has this sort of like radicalized central theme to it, released by a major studio, it's kind of impressive.
Yeah, I think it's surprising.
Yeah.
In its entire, to me, it's just, we have seen what has happened in the world within our nation and how polarized people can be these days. And to release something, like you said, that is so radical, I'm happy to see it and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I think the great thing about art, and it can happen with film even, is that it reflects the period in which it's made.
Absolutely.
And this is a film that very much reflects the period when it's made, where there's a lot of, as you said, divisiveness and uncertainty. Women's rights are being attacked. And so to make a film that's very much about a woman standing up for herself, standing up for other women who were murdered and saying, I speak for the dead and we're coming for you, basically. Like, that is powerful.
Absolutely. It's interesting to watch because being in a place of, I think of myself in a place of privilege because I live in a rural community that's rather progressive, but, at its core, I am I'm a woman, and these are very difficult times. We're always up against something, it seems like, and to watch something that's empowering is really cool. And I think I haven't seen Maggie Gyllenhaal's other movie. I believe it's called The Lost Daughter.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
It got good reviews, though.
Yeah, I'd be interested to watch it now.
Yeah.
Because...
and then, it's like sort of, and you're talking about all these different plots.
Yep.
Penelope Cruz plays a detective that has to secretly be a detective because she is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter Sarsgaard, who is Maggie Gyllenhaal's husband in real life.
Oh, I did not know that.
So a little bit of nepotism, but you know what? If you're going to make a movie, you're going to cast your husband, you're going to cast your brother.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
I mean, he's a Skarsgård, so
Yeah.
that speaks for itself.
Sarsgaard, not Skarsgård. I'm sorry if I misspoke. That is so confusing.
Yeah,
There's
okay.
Peter Sarsgaard, and then there's Skarsgård.
Oh, okay.
But so he's like the real detective, but Penelope Cruz is doing all the work, and he fully acknowledges that. But he still has to be the cover. He still needs to be the face until he retires and says, "You're the detective now." But then nobody believes that she's the detective because she's a woman, and so that opens up a whole other exploration of what it's like to be a woman in a man's world. And so, even though it's sort of like this weird subplot and tangent, it still very much fits with the theme of the movie.
Absolutely. And I loved it. It was almost not like it was an ensemble movie, but it had so many big names and such amazing actors and actresses. And everyone did such a great job. I haven't seen, what's the lead actress's name again?
Jessie Buckley, who I haven't seen her in anything either.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, she's amazing.
Phenomenal. I mean,
especially since she had dual roles where she was Mary Shelley and the bride, and they were both distinctly different, especially when she was going between the two different personalities.
Yeah, I mean, you could even, boil it down to 3 because she was also Ida at the beginning.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job of portraying those dual personalities, and just to watch that was so awesome.
She's actually up for an Academy Award, and the Academy Awards are Sunday. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but Sunday the 16th, and for a movie called Hamnet, which is about William Shakespeare and his wife losing their son.
I haven't had a chance to watch it myself, but it's been on the docket because I've heard such glowing reviews of it.
Yeah, and based on seeing her in this movie, I'm like, oh, well, I have to see her in that movie now. 'Cause
Absolutely.
She seems just absolutely amazing. And Jake Gyllenhaal is in this in a small role, but like I said, he plays an actor, and what I found really interesting is that he showed kindness to Frank, in the past, and that became the one thing that Frank held on to during all these years of loneliness. And so he became obsessed with going to see all of his movies and learning all about him, which I think is relatable. I think we've all kind of done that, where we idealize somebody and become obsessed with them and learn everything we can about them. But there's also this little bit of tragedy there, where Jake Gyllenhaal's character is just I don't care, and even kind of insults him right to his face. And so there's a little bit of tragedy there.
Yeah, it's hard not to think of Frankenstein's monster as anything but tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing we have talked about already is, he's brought into this world against his will.
Yeah.
And, there's so much to his story that, like you've said, has gone without. And he's just, they don't give him much character, they don't give him much depth. And to have him in something that's so uniquely human be part of his storyline it just helps to grow the character and to see past the mask or, the monster.
Yeah. They have him have these nervous panic attacks because his nervous system isn't perfect because he was created. And so that's a really interesting thing that I've never really seen done with the Frankenstein monster before.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of tragic. And the bride has to kind of calm him down, be like, hey, you're okay. And it's just, even though they're kind of forced into being together, they do form an interesting bond.
You know, they do. They form the most interesting, like we were saying, or you were saying, Bonnie and Clyde-esque, like journey.
Yeah.
You know, they have such a unique journey together, and coming from similar backgrounds of being brought into this world and not knowing who you are or what you are.
Right.
You know, and discovering not only friendship within that, but also a sense of loyalty and a sense of understanding.
Yeah.
You know, that's something I think we all want.
Yeah, and it speaks to people who are, you know, other, you know, that whether it's somebody who is a different race or a part of the LGBTQ community, even though these are white characters, it is a form of representation because these are characters that are misfits, they're outsiders, and they do find this connection because they're the only ones of their kind. And
Absolutely.
that's their kind of, and there is something to that of finding your community, and that seems to kind of be what this is about too.
Yeah.
Especially with sort of the revolution they lead inadvertently.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was such a fun plot line, like because it's full of plot lines and subplot and context, and it's so. I think I need to watch it again.
Yeah, that was my thought too. And it's not doing great at the box office. It's probably not going to make its money back, at least not in theaters. But I have a feeling this is going to be the kind of movie that it becomes their new favorite movie, and that they adore, and that it'll have like a huge cult following. It just feels like that kind of movie.
Yeah.
And like in 10 years or 20 years, people will still be talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a masterpiece because of the way that it unfolds in itself. And it leaves a lot up to the imagination, which I think is so fun.
Yeah. Somebody that I'm friends with who writes reviews said that they gave it 4 stars, and they said, it's messy, it's imperfect, but I don't care. I love every single second of it, despite the fact that maybe the pace isn't perfect. Maybe it doesn't always make sense. It just, what it created was so unique that they loved it.
Absolutely. I think it's, it speaks to the director. I think she did a great job with it. I think all of the actors and actresses, their performances were so captivating that you felt like you were in the story yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're already done.
Yeah.
We could talk about it for like another 20 minutes probably.
Yeah, right.
But thanks for doing this with me, and come back and get lost in movies again.